Welcome to Trashing Trump with Mr. Johnny Stearns for Wednesday, April 30th. Please subscribe to the channel to keep up to date with all the latest news.
As Pope? I'd like to be Pope. That would be my number one choice.
The fact that Donald Trump wasn't immediately struck down by a bolt of lightning for even suggesting that he should possibly be the next pope is probably proof that there is no greater power or God in heaven. Donald Trump is a man who has never been accused of being very religious. In fact, the only time we've ever seen him with a Bible in his hand is when he held one upside down after using his military to break up a peaceful protest. He in fact wanted his military to see if they could first shoot American civilians. The thing about Donald Trump is many people sleep with a Bible next to their bed. Donald Trump didn't do that. Donald Trump is a man who spent his life sleeping with a book written by Adolf Hitler and all of his famous speeches. That's the guy Donald Trump is. Donald Trump is perhaps the greatest narcissist the world has ever known. He has to make every single moment about him, from the passing of the Pope to the NFL draft. At all times, everything is always about Donald. He is a truly sick and twisted individual. And that's what it is. Throw me a follow. Donald Trump wants a baby boom in America and is floating around the idea of sending $5,000 checks to mothers. This is a lot different than in the 80s and 90s when he was paying cash for women to hide or end their pregnancies, even handing cash to doormen to keep secret his illegitimate children. And what I also find comical is at the same time he's talking about that there's a shortage of new babies, he is also actively deporting 2-year-olds with cancer because their mothers are brown. I think the reality is that Donald Trump and MAGA wants a baby boom, but the baby boom they want is only of white children. Who in their right minds would currently want to bring a child into this world for a mere $5,000? Well, Donald Trump is setting America ablaze, destroying our democracy, cutting education, cutting healthcare benefits. This is no time to bring a child into the world. Nonetheless, it is pretty comical to see a guy trying to pay women $5,000 to keep a baby when in the past he always used money to get rid of babies. And that's what it is. Throw me a follow. That's actually a really great point that I didn't even think of myself. If MAGA Republicans and Donald Trump really believed that life started at conception, why wouldn't they cut you that $5,000 check right there? Because the expenses of having a child do start before the baby is actually born. The reason is because they know this is a bunch of bullshit. They don't even believe their own nonsense. You see, abortion shit for them was just something to run on, and now they feel they've already won that issue. So now they've moved on to hating immigrants and people from other countries. And that's what it is. Throw me a follow. Great point, man. Welcome to Donald Trump's America.
Much of it we don't need. Somebody said, oh, the shelves are going to be open. Well, maybe the children will have $2 instead of $30, and maybe the $2 will cost a couple of bucks more than they would normally. But we're not talking about something that we have to go out of our way. They have ships that are loaded up with stuff, much of which, not all of it, but much of which we don't need.
Can any of you dumb, inbred, MAGA yokels imagine the outrage that you guys would have had Joe Biden come out and said, you know what, your kids are going to have to settle for $2 for Christmas instead of $30. That is if your parents can afford those $2, because those $2 are going to be exponentially more expensive. And everything else that we've needed to live, that's also more expensive too. Sorry, kids, we can't get toys this year. The Grinch, Donald Trump, stole Christmas. What a fucking disgrace. Thanks a lot, MAGA. Jeffrey Bezos is an absolute coward. He's more useful sending rockets into space with Katy Perry than he is in actually trying to stand up for this democracy, just as he did with the Washington Post as he cut the articles out of there that were going to support Kamala Harris. This is of no surprise. And in fact, as Americans, we should have known that all the billionaires were in the pockets of Donald Trump when they all showed up at his inauguration. Donald Trump threw an absolute fit when he found out that Amazon was going to tell the American people the truth. And the truth is that Donald Trump's tariffs are going to cost American families thousands of dollars. So he called up Jeffrey Bezos and said, hey, if you don't do this, if you don't get rid of this for me and lie to the American people, I am going to punish you and your company. So Jeffrey Bezos, being how all the other billionaires are, he said, if I lose $1, it's not worth being honest to the American people. So that's what happened. He caved because, you know what? These billionaires, no matter how many hundreds of billions they have, it'll never be enough. And that's what it is. Throw me a follow.